everybody. My name is Caitlyn Shea, and I'm the Executive Director for Walt Whitman Birthplace. I'm so excited to be seeing all of you from Saratoga Springs. I'm here for a New York State Parks Conference, PTMY, and they're such great supporters of the Birthplace. So it's just cool to be anywhere in the world. You can come into these Zooms. So you're going to hear from George Wallace. He's one of the most fundamentally known. You have to know who George Wallace is on Long Island for poetry, and also internationally. George is an international traveler with his poetry, so influenced by Whitman. We're so lucky to have him as our writer in residence. You're going to hear from Robert Savino. He is one of our trustees. He's our treasurer of, secretary of the board. And he's just an incredible presence for our poetry that we do at the Birthplace live and in person as well. I just recently came back as the director. It's such a marvelous place. For those of you who haven't been able to visit in person yet, it's worth the trip. I hope you come visit us. And I just want to say how beautiful this program is. I worked for the Birthplace a few years ago, and now that I'm back and I'm seeing what a success this has become, I'm just so happy you're all a part of it. So thank you for your support by being here. If you're able to make a donation, thank you so, so much. It's what keeps us going, and we really appreciate any support you can give us. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Caitlyn. Thank you, Caitlyn. And we welcome Caitlyn to the Birthplace, and we welcome you all today to Season 3's Triangulation Journey, Poets Building Bridges. Poets Building Bridges is produced by Poetrybay Productions and for the Walt Whitman Birthplace, and led by George Wallace, who's been the writer in residence here for 14 years. The show is this episode is live on Zoom and soon to be available on YouTube. The Birthplace offers events throughout the year, many of them on Zoom, and I recommend you go to our website to check it out. It's www.waltwhitman.org. I thank you all, poets and guests, for being here today. Caitlyn, for being our technical director over there today. And George, as always, for his continued support to the Birthplace and to poetry, both in our community and worldwide. Now I turn the journey over to the man, George Wallace.
Thank you. Thank you, Robert Savino. First, if I could ask everybody to put yourselves on mute until it's your turn to read. I'd appreciate that, so we don't get any feedback or telephone calls from somebody else. S.A, Frank, anybody else, if you could put yourselves on mute. Second of all, I'd like to recognize Jennifer, who's behind the scenes. She's that icon of the Walt Whitman Birthplace down on the bottom of my screen. She's engineering this today. Thank you, Jennifer, for that. Third, Caitlyn, I do want to congratulate you on the great work you're doing as you come in as the executive director at the Walt Whitman Birthplace. A lot of exciting things happening, fresh, young ideas, and we really appreciate it. I'll say that, all of us, including Bob and Caitlyn and I, have now been associated with the Walt Whitman Birthplace longer than Walt Whitman, because he left there when he was 3 or 4 or 5 years old to move to Brooklyn, although he came back at different points in his life. So we all have some association to the extent that we've ever been to the place, and we appreciate the work of Walt as a poet, as a cultural leader for America and for the world. Robert, last, I'd say he's very modest about his accomplishments, but as the former Suffolk County Poet Laureate and a person who has who's stepped in and emceed many events for us here at the Birthplace and beyond, he does a great job. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to ask to tap you on December 14th, actually, Robert. So we'll talk about that afterwards. Welcome to Poets Building Bridges. We have with us today 3 groups of poets. Representing 3 different constituencies or communities of poetry. First being led by Deborah Kilday. We're going to have Deborah Kilday. We're going to have the National Beat Poet Foundation representatives of that organization. Second, we'll have Kat George and Peter Carlaftes, the honchos at 3 Rooms Press in New York City, and some of their people they published. And then finally, we will have with us today Lola Koundakjian and the representatives of the Armenian diaspora. So we're going to have people from California to, I don't know, I think Paris or in London. We've got really a wide range across there. That's why we do this at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So Poets Building Bridges is in its third season. Some of you have been part of it before, and hopefully again, we'll have another opportunity in the future to gather. The principle being that groups of poets representing communities, when they gather like this, there's a kind of triangulation that can happen, and not just a random group of people without any structure to the association. So there's a structure to this association, which I think adds value to the experience. The chat room is the chat room. Feel free to compliment each other on their poems on the side. Feel free to back channel with somebody that you want to talk to. Say, hey, S.A, what's going on in Los Angeles? Or Paul, what's going on up in Massachusetts? And talk amongst yourselves behind the scenes. We appreciate the fact that you'll be here for 1 hour and 50 minutes, approximately. So do try to stay on, keep your face present, for the duration of the show. And that is that's the lay of the land. So first, I will introduce very briefly Debbie Kilday, Debbie Tosin Kilday, who I've seen over the years grow into a tremendously valuable leader in poetry, based in Connecticut, and leading the National Beat Poetry Foundation, many different publications, the annual convention or conference, and programming that she puts together. She's really, taken the National Beat Poetry Foundation and but leaps and bounds and turned it into a reputable operation. So I appreciate the work she's done there, Debbie. Thank you. You want to take over and introduce your people for the next half hour? Break up the time any way you like. Debbie Kilday.
Let's see. Okay. Well, I started the National Beat Poetry Foundation. Oh, someone's talking, I guess. I started the National Beat Poetry Foundation in 2014, but registered it in 2016. And since then, I've been in contact with poets around the world wanting to participate in the organization because of the theme of our poetry, which is the beat poetry, which has no rules or regulations, no form, and people express themselves, I think, more freely with their words because of it. And today, I'm going to have 3 of my Beat Poet Laureates reading. The first one is going to be Belinda Subraman. She's the current Texas Beat Poet Laureate. And she's been writing poetry for decades. She spent 6 years in Germany, where she published Bukowski and Burroughs. And she's currently the editor of Gas, Poetry, Art, and Music, which is an online zine, a video show, and a group on Facebook. She's also an artist, and she works in ink and acrylics. And I'm going to turn it over to Belinda now.
Unmute yourself.
You're muted, Belinda.
Oops. Okay, thank you very much, Debbie. I also want to mention that I'm the managing editor for Beat Life, the official magazine for the National Beat Poetry Foundation, which I'm enjoying very much. Okay. Do we have like 5 minutes, or is it a little bit more?
It's a little bit more.
Okay, just tell me when to quit, I guess. All right. Sunrise, sunset. Counting life by decades on fingers, using a second hand, remembering youth and the knowledge and otherworldliness of age. The past has not passed, as it's one long day with gradations of all we've ever been, caught between the womb and the stars, hungering for the hug of recognition and dissolving into space. Crone in the accordion of age, under the projected stars and recorded rain in the streaming forest, magically delicious or delightfully insane on an arbitrary scale. I never knew memories would haunt me and teach me in the age of wisdom as my body diminishes and friends and relatives die. My fear of transition never goes away, but is less acute some days. On the edge of nuclear war, dictatorship, society breaking down into tribes ready to sort and kill by labels. I am almost ready to ascend through the stars on my ceiling and color-changing nebula, while Alexa robot sings to me in rain. Easter Zen. Death is lights out, like a coma, but we won't wake up. We suffer for not mattering enough to live forever in movies, books, or legend, any lasting altar of love. We take comfort our deceased will reach out as we die. Hallucination or hope, we cling. We choose to believe in magic and forever, to smooth the jagged edge and illusion of finality. As every molecule around us prickles, beams, life force, sparks, and radar's connection, we clutch, still we fade away into the cycle of mattering, where everything is enough. Anyone else awake? In every war, women and children are killed. Hospitals and schools are bombed, while the opposing side claims it held weapons of war. Let's pretend war is precision and polite in its killing, and a crime only happens when we notice the truth. Meanwhile, thought manipulation goes unnoticed. Price gouging is shielded by blaming the president. Egos and evil bubbles continue to sell us whatever they think we might buy with persuasion. Bombs land close to nuclear plants, and threats of long-range missiles are made. News is repeated, scenes of destruction between commercials of what we don't need now and never did. More? I got one more if you want. Okay. Dating myself. I took myself out today, broke the bondage of heat and pain. I wasn't bad company, but quiet, like a shy date. Myself and I went to a movie, sad and hopeful like life, where nothing stays on course and we experience everything. We went to a mall so filled with kids we could hardly move, happy people experiencing life with toys on marble floors, people with hands to hold, kids with mothers, families, couples, people under 70 needing illusion reinforcement. such as life is forever and the earth wears out, and we are all innocent marauders. God this and God that, and church makes us pure. I came in through Monkey Rock, where there were no monkeys, and the rocks were man-made. I ordered a Coke at a bar in a children's game room. The tender wouldn't take my money, but I left her $5 anyway. I will exit through the entrance where yin yang and karma are everywhere, both instant and overdue, just like mystical teardrops that dry in the rain. With intimate wind that kisses and tousles the hair like a lover, we're all searching for the ultimate, forgetting death is it, or because of it. Pain forces observation. Our date was silently intriguing. We'll see each other again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Belinda. Next, we have up Paul Richmond, who has been awarded different titles as a Beat Poet Laureate, and he's now a Lifetime Beat Poet Laureate. And he is described as political, deadpan, and wryly humorous, delivered in his own style. He's a publisher of books, Human Error Publishing, and he created a project called Do It Now, which he has performed around the world. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome, and thanks, George, and everybody who made this possible and all the work that's been happening. My first piece is from one of the books that the folks put out on Jack Kerouac's 100th birthday. So this is called Jack Kerouac 100. Jack Kerouac was born March 12, 1922. The Russian Revolution against the ruling class had started in 1917. By 1922, the Bolsheviks won the Russian Civil War. Tsar Nicholas II was murdered along with his family. The royals were forced to flee the country, the workers fighting for their rights. The workers of Lowell, the French-Canadian workers trying to survive, have families. One of them has a baby boy named Kerouac in 1922. 29 years later, I am born after World War II, the 1950s. Kerouac completed On the Road, April 1951, October 1951. I arrive on Earth. There is hope in the air. The war is over. We are told we won. The American dream is cranked out. Everything is supposed to be like it is in the movies. The artists of the times play their instruments in ways no one had thought about or believed. The beats let us know everyone is a poet. They spoke out, took real stories, told real stories, struggled to not be stamped out of a mold, while the culture influencers created the mold for being beat. This group of poet writers who influenced each other, each of them influencing those of us who were listening. The first time I tried to read On the Road, I couldn't do it. Years later, I read it, and one day I had heard and met Ginsberg, read all the Burroughs, met Burroughs, and didn't know what to say to him. Started writing myself. 100 years later, Russian is ruled again by a czar, a ruling class who has started a war. Kerouac is long gone, died in October 1969. August 69, I was at Woodstock fighting against another war, writing and reading more, meeting the other beats, joining the artists, political activists of the time. 53 years later, celebrating with writers who see themselves carrying on a tradition, being called the new beats as we try to be ourselves, knowing the power of words, knowing that without everyone knowing what they are feeling, knowing how to use their words, there is no chance for freedom. Keeping our voices alive, encouraging others, creating gatherings so everyone can be heard. As we celebrate Jack Kerouac, who went on the road, was a pioneer, was creating a movement that still seems to be alive. A little girl approaches out of the rubble, and she is asked, "Are you Muslim? Are you Jewish? Are you Catholic? Are you an atheist? Do you believe that if you kiss a frog, it turns into a prince?" She said, "I am hungry." "Are you Jewish? Are you Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist? We're asking, do you believe that if you kiss a frog, it will turn into a prince?" She said, "No, I am hungry." They started to take photographs, and she told them, "I am starving." And when they looked up from their cameras, she was gone. Not impressed. So I was at a party, and the conversation was more about impressing rather than to get to know each other. People talking about their heritage, their families coming over on the Mayflower, talking about their relatives who had been great artists, stating their gene pool superiority. As far as I know, half of the people who came over on the Mayflower died the first winter. I'm questioning creativity being passed on just in genes. When it was my turn, I said, my family has a long history of being optimistic since my relatives came over on the Titanic. Grandpa was our great supporter of the theater and the arts, and for without him, we wouldn't be here. He gave an amazing performance in the lifeboat as a woman. They weren't too impressed. And my last one here is, let's see, the door. One of my grandfathers told the story about him being a child coming to this country, that a brother met him at immigration and told him his name was Richmond. Kept repeating, "Tell him you're a Richmond." His real name, none of his kids remember. The grandkids don't even know. Another story was everyone within a 2-mile block area near Boston all decided to change their names to Richmond. Because if you called on the phone and you gave a different name, they would hang up. At least if you gave them a name that they would tell you to come on down, once you got there and they looked at you, they realized you're not a Richmond. And sometimes they would close the door on you, and sometimes you got in. Those who learned how to survive learned how to get their foot in the door. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Paul. And now we have Linda Bratcher Wlodyka, I think that's how you pronounce it. And she's the current Massachusetts Beat Poet Laureate. She's a retired educator. She has 3 chapbooks. And she also has a book, If Brambles Were Bookends. It's her first full-length poetry collection. Her poems have been widely anthologized throughout the United States, and she's a member of the Florence Poetry Society. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Debbie. Hi, George. Hi, everybody else that was invited. I'm happy to be here, and Paul did publish my most recent book, and I was pretty green at a whole collection, and he was pretty tolerant of me. So I'll move on to my first poem, No Forgetting. His tongue is his poetry. I remember when he spoke, there was no paper, no pen, no forgetting. His announcement of autumn described shadows, how the sun shone, created elongated angles, different from summer. His recollection of a first snow, how snowflakes drift down to earth, how he explained that the snow was a blanket to cover Earth's nakedness. His long-winded description of Earth's inhabitants, how they stare, then retreat to their structure. Some have no shelter, always makes me self-aware of my own privilege. His ever fanciful yet intriguing lesson influenced the way I carried my emotion, the way I perceived what I used to not openly admit. My poetry benefited greatly from all that I borrowed from those days of his reckoning. The stage he built, his precipice, will be embedded forever in the mind of the girl he loves. We pivot. We pivot, scrape the scarred pavement, not the same as scoring one's initials in a tree's bark or spraying graffiti on buildings, instead imprinting words in wet beach sand. High tide's undertow washes message away. Mermaids camouflage amidst kelp and coral while conches and octopi coexist. Squids send out their identity as an ink stain. Once dispersed, only clear water remains. We pivot, scrape the grass and dandelion leaves as if our souls mattered at all. Our footprints, like initials, whittled in wood, become weathered, smoothed. Over time, our identities fade away. At the end of our days, what we did say is history, like the shards from an ancient bowl, dusty yet preserved in the earth's layers, leaves us left to wonder who has supped from its remains. Poets will shed their dripping tears, their beliefs on paper akin to ancient hieroglyphics. What is there to say when we fear our message will become dormant? Will we lie down, turn eyes to sky, and embrace the final pivot? Thank you. Fluidity. Breezes comb water's surface, ripples form a rolling wake, water laps upon shore, splashes and splays endlessly. Soothing rhythm mellows senses like the rise and fall of concerto's tempo. Human instinct to rock and sway, intoxicating melodic slap against beaches, sand, grass, muck, proliferating along the shoreline since glacier melt. Life's currents, like amniotic fluid, swishing, buoying a babe, blood circulates through arteries within its sack-like lake. Adrift, we flow aimlessly upon Earth's surface, rife with springs, lakes, rivers, expansive seas. Birth, life itself like ever-floating weed. But death silences the flow, brings life to a halt. Only the soul knows whether stillness or fluidity becomes our eternal destiny. Tides erupt endlessly. And I have one more. Falling. The intervals between smile and breath, where the intermittent pauses reveal your visage and a metronome counts the times you said, I love you, while yearning persists, causes limbs to tremble, heartbeats stagger until both hearts palpitate and sink. There is no rational reason for it all. All you wanted was to place your ear against my rib cage, feel the pulse of blood rush through, place your hands in my silken hair along my jawline, caress the part of my lips where tongue reveals its sensuality, ask the burning question, were we too much too soon? Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. I don't know if I have time for a quick one of my own, George. Okay.
Yes, you do. Go ahead.
This is Tragic Artist. Yes, a tragic artist. That's me. Molding the clay, tearing pieces away, painting on canvas, messing with brushes, ruining creations on a daily basis. Drinking to excess, of course, showing distress. Yes, a tragic artist. That's me. Taking breathtaking photos of everything lively, while deep inside, contemplating suicide. Ready to jump, what's the use trying? Down in a slump. Yes, a tragic artist. That's me. Creating beauty for everyone's eyes, but no one else sees the tragic artist that is me. And I wrote that because I felt that way at times, and I know a lot of artists feel that way. Thank you, George.
Nice work, Debbie. Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing these talented poets to us today, all with the National Beat Poetry Foundation. The festival, you have a couple of major events. The festival is in usually Labor Day, and any other one you want to mention?
I have the Goddess Festival in March, celebrating Women's History Month each year. And at different times of the year, I have other festivals. I'm thinking of having one coming up in November, to bring awareness of people battling hunger around the world.
Very nice. Thank you. Good work.
Thank you.
All right. Has comments in the chat room, by the way, if you haven't looked in there. So check out what people are saying. We are now going to turn the direction of this to Cat George and Peter Carlaftes, who's disappeared from the screen. Three Rooms Press, based in New York City, but they're three, and they claim to be three rooms, but they're also at least tri-coastal. New York area, of course, and California, both Los Angeles and San Francisco, significant presence. But you may feel their reach in Paris or in Malta or one of the islands, Sardinia or some other place, Corsica and the Mediterranean. There's just no telling where this people's reach is going to extend to. I've had the opportunity to work on a couple of chapbooks with them, and I appreciate that. Plus, annually they put on two of the keynote events in the New York City performance poetry scene, the annual Bukowski reading and their presentation, both here in New York and other locations, of Dada Maintenant, which is happening imminently. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Cat George. Welcome.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me? Okay. I am so excited to be here. What we have here is three poets that I've worked with for a long time and that we've published fairly regularly within the Maintenant Journal. I realized before we started that I've actually known all three poets for more than 30 years and two of them for almost 40 years. So it's shocking to me because time flies, and there we go. So I am going to first introduce my only half, who's also a co-director of Three Rooms Press. Three Rooms Press is a press that is driven by diversity, Dada, punk, and passion. So, and we're threeroomspress.com. We publish a number of different kinds of books, and you can look it on the website. Peter Carlaftes is a publisher, poet, author, actor. His latest book was Life in the Past Lane, and he also has two other poetry collections, I Fold with the Hand I Was Dealt and Drunk Yard Dog, plus two collections of play, Triumph for Rent and Theatraphy, and a humorous multimedia book, A Year on Facebook. He co-edited Have a Nice NYC Mystery Noir short story series and edited The Faking of the President, 19 stories of White House Noir. He's also co-editor with moi of the annual Dada Art and Writing Journal, Maintenant. He has been called, his writing has been called audacious by the New York Times. So with no further ado, please welcome Peter Carlaftes.
Yes.
Okay.
We're swapping places. Thank you. Thank you so much. I was going to read something from Drunk Yard Dog, but I'm not going to. So I'll read the next poem, but I can at least show the book off. I'll read something here. It's called Ruins, as in my life is in. 'Twas once I lived in a flea bag room with curry seeping and small mice creeping in and out under the door. Rarely did I eat, mostly sleep, but always there was jazz playing day and night from a radio built into the TV set there. Just the jazz, day and night, lonely notes making friends in my brain, what was left, and I'd travel far away where my world worked out right. Lonely notes making friends in my brain. All right, I'm going to read this one. I was hanging out with a friend the other day, told me this story. I had to turn it into a poem. It's a beauty. It's called Mix It Up. When Artie was young, yet old enough to drink, let's say the late 50s, on the Upper East Side, he found a bar where the barman would let him drink all night if you left a 5 on the bar. And this went on for years. Leave a 5, drink all night. Leave a 5, drink all night. Until one night, Artie left a 5 on the bar, and the barman picked it up and handed it right back, saying, "Sorry, this doesn't work anymore." So Artie asked him why, and the barman replied, "Because I'm the owner now." There's the answer. Take, 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 until the take becomes yours. The only worry being, have you time enough between those worlds? Or was life perhaps just easier then? Yeah, things can change in a hurry. We know that. I'm going to read this I will read from Life in the Past Lane. This came out last year. Kat and I put out a nice book each of poems, and this is Life in the Past Lane. And this is dedicated to Kat here. 2 stools down. I was sitting at the middle of a bar rewriting some of my poetry. She was sitting at the end of same bar writing too. She leaned my way with no one between and asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Working on a poem. You?" She answered, "Same." And right smack there, from this point on, we became creative partners. 30 years later, we are still writing poems. 30 years later, we are still. Dear poem, if I truly wish to know what you are, I must create you from my depths. Observe your joy, relate your anguish, distinguish your place between a right and wrong, devise morality. These pieces of me become pieces of you, placement, divisions, an enlightened ingestion for all to see clearly on through into themselves. What more could a poem or a poet even ask for? Until next time, yours truly. Here's one for essay, since I know he was here out there in Hollywood, so I wanted to do this one. The pistol misfired. I was watching this war movie. Can't remember its name, but this soldier's company was under attack, and when the soldier stood up with his rifle aimed at the enemy, the gun misfired, and the other side got him first. Then the film changed perspectives to the enemy, who were really the good guys, which was symbolic in itself. Yet one who consciously kills, yet can one who consciously kills really be a person to admire, even in the face of a necessary conflict, inescapable, kill or be killed? When the camera pulled back to reveal a movie set of a war scene, exposing the dual nature of hypocrisy being watched and movie making need to show a profit. The critics called the film a misfire. Take it back. Oswald's magic bullet, put it back in the gun and have it misfire with all the other pieces involved. Put JFK back on the plane alive to anchor 16 years of JFK, RFK, erasing LBJ and Nixon Ford. Take it back. Let us see if our kind had a chance when it counted, not wistfully after the fact, knowing we didn't, because perhaps the complex might have dissolved. Take it back. Oswald's gun, let us dream a liberal one. All right, I'm going to finish up with this one. 9 lives. Hell, well, one was sure enough, though not enough. to try and fathom how much sadness 9 of them would bring. How many let down disappointments, how many broken-hearted nights or days, 9 whole lives. Yet what is there to really fear? Because this here life is also grand, and grand can also multiply by 9. Depends on which side one is awakened from the bed. Perhaps the midway point, 4.5 years would suffice. So I'd say the question is, could human bear 9 lives of sorrow? Well, hell, me, kind of doubt it. Though I'd be willing to give up my place in line and let the next soul find out. All right, thank you. Thank you all for coming, and let's build some more bridges.
All right. Peter. That was Peter Carlaftes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up, we have the one and only S.A Griffin. S.A lives, loves, and works in Los Angeles, which is where I met him, publishing his own Rose of Sharon imprint since 1988. He is the editor of The Official Language of Yes on Percival Press by Scott Wamberg, and co-editor of this one you probably all know, The Outlaw Bible of American Poetry on Thunder's Mouth Press, for which he received the Firecracker Award, and Beat Not Beat, Moontide Press. Published widely, he's most recently the author of Pandemic Soul Music, a great book, check it out, on Punk Hostage Press. Karma Bum, father, husband, cat lover, Vietnam-era veteran of the United States Air Force. Please welcome S.A Griffin.
Yay. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, George. Thank you, Walt Whitman. Thank you, everybody. I am honored to be here. Lorraine and I went to the Walt Whitman Birthplace. I highly recommend it. It's worth the trip, just to be on such sacred ground. And then I read from Beat Not Beat, my poem there. I'd taken Beat Not Beat with me. It was the galley. It was the proof. And I had it stamped and signed and baptized wherever I went. And Walt Whitman's birthplace has got a rubber stamp in there. I forget the names of the gentlemen, George. Who was there that day, you think, that I read the poem to? Oh, well, anyway. It shall forever remain a mystery. Who was there that day at Walt Whitman's that I might have read my poem to out of Beat Not Beat? He was very nice. Really nice guy.
This was a guy. It was Robert. I can't remember his last name, but he's with the
Star?
Huffington Post
Was
UK.
it Star?
Huh? Say?
Was his last name Star? Was his last name Star?
No, Robert Peake. He's
Peake,
actually
okay, yeah.
originally from not far from you, Ojai.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it was really, so anyway, and we went out and saw his grave, which he designed. You know, the one thing that was revealed to me about Walt Whitman, I didn't know he had big feet. Anyway, my reading is dedicated to, I'm really honored to be here, dedicated to Walt Whitman, the spirit of the great King Daddy, big cat of modern American verse. Walt, we are everywhere. Lady, we are here for the sweet stigmata of the poem. Walt Whitman's beard. Write like your ass is on fire. Dress reality sandwiches in madness. Eat naked lunch. Unfuck yourself. Pull daisies. Wear flipped wigs. Ride the railroad earth that never sleeps. Live impossible music that you cannot help but sing. Live the way you write because you have to, because you want to, because beat is love, is art, is God, and love is all we have. Sing it in the shower. Sing it in your sleep, in your wake dreaming. Beat is your skin's forwarding address. Outlaw is the burning river of your hair. The night alive with visions, the way you invent the air when the words come rushing through. The poem is where the streets collide inside your bones as wild history, as the unemployed future, unwrapping the present, the First Amendment Hallelujah choir that sings backup for the blues. The poem is a wilting hatred called the news, an indestructible lotus that is always the news, a red wheelbarrow in the ancient rain, small like love, an emperor of ice cream being chased down the lonely street of dreams where you live, your mind erect inside the windy city of change, a bus called further with no destination, Scott Weinberg's Hey Now, Dillinger's Opus Gunfire, Homer's Golden Fleece, the ghosts of Venice West, Tony Sabella's Kid in America, shopping at the 99-cent store, a funny style cat, Frank T. Rios burning the blank page, the lady and poets beware, she is watching, she is listening, Cassidy's Hammer, a mile-high underground railroad between left of West Los Angeles and west of West Denver. Beat is whoever and or whatever the hell you want it to be. It is that sacred promise pumping inside the four walls of your reality show, teaching the dead to sing. A blood river, a rank stranger, it is all things holy. A holy fool, a holy goof, a bottle of smoke, a sore dove on the wing, the myth of youth rocking to the pneumatic fuck of cities, the free rent inside the apartment of this ongoing moment, the alive people all around you who are the saints alive, the father most of us never had and never will. And don't you know that God is really Pooh Bear? A Times Square junkie called Hunky, the Mother Ginsburg bop of B, a Vortex Sutra, Brannaman's nude eyebrows, an Apocalypse Rose parade wearing Charlie Plymel's final moccasins, Lord Buckley, who was always temporarily strolling through your garden shouting, "Hep cats, eat everything." A river of red wine, Jack Michelin coming in at 90-1, riding Skinny Dynamite, the Polis of Olson, the Unvert of Spicer, the Mingus of Macker, Charlie Parker blowing Bob Kaufman, be an abominist. Join only your hands and legs. Swim Ruggles lifeguard in the snow. Nail yourself to one in Second Coming Press. Dance the revolution of Diane de Prima. Be a beatnik nun on fire like Philomene Long, and hang your habit inside the Rebel Cafe. Eat coexistence bagels and holy soul jelly rolls. Drink no tomorrow. Ride the Mother Road. Wear no seatbelts. It is a 1959 Cadillac, high on process. Sing third-class junk mail oracle. Give away poems like the welfare department. Let the poem fuck freely, rabbits everywhere, as you ride Levy's ghost pony into Kerouac's golden eternity. Live the book of the dead. Cover the world with lines. Write Ted Jones lives on every sidewalk. Be a happiness bastard, a rat bastard. Be completely forgotten. Swim in the fallout of Corso's bomb. Go third eye into that good night. Explode and swing with the best minds of your generation, for it is the only iteration that matters. Get Jackson Pollock. Remove Time's baggy underwear. Skinny dip in the future here now. Play wild guitar. Live in the shadows. Know the light. Fear no darkness. Beat is a drive-in movie till dawn. Hummingbird logic. Cockroach angels and ministers, Rimbaud in Africa, a meditation, a prayer, a breath. It is nothing. It is everything. Forget that I said or wrote any of this. Remember where you come from. Never know where you are going. Get there. You will. Paint mustaches on the moon, tag the sun, wear your insides out. Be Thoreau talking to Emerson saying, all criminals are outlaws, not all outlaws are criminals, and there are no rules except the ones you follow. Now go. Thank you. It's great to see you, Ma. It's great to see you, Ma. Thank you. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, George. Thank you, everyone. Now go.
Thank you, S.A. Wow. Everybody give it up one more time for S.A Griffin. Woo. All right. We do have one more reader, and that is the marvelous Maw Shein Win, who I've also known for nearly 40 years. She has just released her third poetry collection called Percussing the Thinking Jar and has rave early reviews. Check out her website, mawsheinwin.com. Her 2021 collection, Storage Unit for the Spirit House, was nominated for Northern California Book Award, longlisted for PEN America Open Book Award, shortlisted for the Golden Poppy. She's inaugural poet laureate of El Cerrito, California, up in the Bay Area, teaches poetry in the MFA program at University of San Francisco, collaborates often with visual artists. Please welcome here Maw Shein Win.
Hey everyone, great to see you all. Thank you, Kat. Thank you, Peter. S.A, so great to see you. I love that we've all known each other for 4 decades. Amazing. And thank you, George, and everyone here. So I'm going to share some poems from Percussing the Thinking Jar. And the first one is entitled Gazelle. Gazelle sleeps near a tumbleweed, veins thumping soft. Witness the neighbors in search of water, the cabin dwellers in fear of fire. What makes sounds at night? Nwack, nwack. Ringed horns, gaunt flanks. Who takes a chariot to market? Sunday or evening, morning or March. Young gazelle with bruised sides, licking water drops from a desert fountain. And this is entitled, Dear H. Dear H, I'm hanging out in the waiting room. I am blinking into another eye, gold shades, sirens again. Seeing the city through the window of another window, I live in a 2-second time lapse. Dear H, I stitched a quilt for you, slivers of green lint throughout. Warmth in the waiting room now, my limbs are soft with pain. Slept last night with ears open, noted the following: pollen drift, vessel crack, pillar bark. Dear H, missing your crackling eyes, generous fountains, and this. You were standing on a dock, and next to you, a steamer trunk made of bone. Strangers began to gather. You sunk your hand and lifted a spinning plate from the trunk. Applause and more applause. Dear H, my cat visited me from the other world. She witnessed bliss bursting from the pockets of houses open once again. Bright light from the storehouse, tinny bell tones. She could smell the dirt from behind the shed. And this is a poem dedicated to Adrian and Mark, and it's called The Grisham House, which is a house we all used to live in Long Beach. It was velvet, then noise. There was silence on sandpaper. I lived with an artist, a dancer, a sculptor. We drank brown derby beer. We lived by railroad tracks and talked to trains, sang among weeds and peach trees. My voice deepened an octave. The sculptor warmed up his explosion. We constructed a time capsule, buried it in the yard. I dropped in a poem, the artist a bottle cap, the dancer a Polaroid of our house. Yes, my octaves welcomed me back. Yes, I welcomed them. And this is my second to last poem, entitled Finches. In the dream, the body runs from fire, throws on a cape, dashes through the door. The body heads for the hills, overheard at a party, head for the hills. An ambulance speeds by, blur of rust. Body informs mind, emergency. Body tries to soothe mind, breathe. Body sees a mother in a glass tank. Water on the floor and feet, cold. Sometimes I forget I have a body. A therapist once said that I did not have holes in my energy field. My ex, however, had many. In the dream, I have powerful legs. My eyes are alert. I fly over burning hills and flash floods, leap over hospitals and shuttered stores. My body delivers a message. Drink 3 bottles of ginger water. My mother's body needs a walker, a hospital bed. She reads in her dreams. In the body of the dream, I am swimming, a deep lake surrounded by firs and ferns. Water soothes the mind, her body on a blanket of warm grass. Books turn pages on their own. Finches sleep in fiddleheads. And this is my final poem, and it's called The Thinking Jar. The Thinking Jar. An antelope asleep in the wood. I shop for peanut brittle online. Violet strings, a muscle prediction, an airport therapy session or a clue to find sea urchins in the bow blue. I draw with blood these days, a pile of pink shells. I am a dram of neurotic fixes, hatchling in the parlor, fingerling in the hot oil, fire ant eyes. I drop a shock of wicked white hair to the floor. A blackbird lands on the thinking jar. Wonder if I can swim from the Isle of Elderberry. Thank you for listening, everyone. Thanks so much.
All right, Maw Shein Win. Thank you. Oh man, everything is so wonderful. Your work is just so strong, and it just keeps getting better and better. So how is that possible? What's going to happen next year? So, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to read 2 short poems, and as we wrap up the 3 Rooms Press portion, somewhere it is. Somewhere it is dark and war reigns on a city. Somewhere a child celebrates his birthday with a new soccer ball. Somewhere the stars make you feel as insignificant as a worn-out shoe. Somewhere the bartender sees you in a throng, sets down a napkin, looks you in the eye, says, "What do you need?" And you tell her so much in the simple act of asking for a beer. That's from my book, and Other Words Like Wow. And finally, until there's nothing left. You've got what it takes, sister, driving that last highway, a trip that isn't for work or family, isn't a vacation or a planned getaway. No one around to navigate or tell you where to go. Just you and your stretchy slim jeans, the loose-fitting blouse that hides your belly, day-old underwear, no bra, no deodorant, a pair of old flip-flops straddling your twisted toes. Your only destination is the horizon. You will get there. You will get there. Just keep driving. You pack nothing and cruise past the people in last year's model, past the truckers who used to whistle and honk, past the roadside drive-through fast food slots, past the office buildings and shopping malls, the grocery stores and hair salons, houses of friends, and past your home. You're leaving it all behind. You didn't call your daughters this time around, didn't bring the phone, left the laptop at home, didn't leave a note on the kitchen counter, didn't set your email to auto-reply. Your wallet is empty, but your gas tank is full. You will continue until there's nothing left. What will you do then? Your only destination is the horizon. You will get there. You will get there. Just keep driving. All right. Thank you, George Wallace and Walt Whitman Birthplace Association, for having us all here and for making this magical program happen.
All right.
Really appreciate it.
Terrific. One more time for Cat George and friends. 3 Rooms Press. What a great show we're having. We turn to a third set of readers gathered to you, bring to you by Lola Koundakjian. Lola I've known a number of years from New York City. We've done a few readings together associated with Armenian American interests, but more generally as well in poetry. She's a force here in the United States, but also overseas. Half the time that I contact her, she's doing research somewhere abroad, here or there abroad. So really an international figure, advocate for Armenian diaspora and for poetry as well. Lory's going like this, and it's true. Yeah, so I'm really delighted to bring on Lola Koundakjian as the third of the compares who are going to be presenting their friends and associates. Lola, it's on you.
Thank you, everyone. What a warm and fuzzy welcome, George. Thank you very much. It's our second appearance, but with a new set of readers. So I'm very excited to welcome first Lory Bedikian from the greater LA area. Lory earned an MFA at the University of Oregon. Her collection, The Book of Lamenting, was awarded the Philip Levine Prize for Poetry. Several of her poems received the first prize award in the Pablo Neruda Prize for Poetry as part of the 2022 Nimrod Literary Awards. Bedikian's manuscript in progress received a 2021 grant from the Money for Women Barbara Deming Memorial Fund. Thank you. Welcome, Lory.
Thank you. Thank you, Lola. Thank you, everyone. George Wallace. Oh my God. Poets building bridges. I agree. I love it. It's an honor. Well, I'm going to read from my new book. It's called Jagada Kid, Apology to the Body. I'm not muted. Thank God. It's called Jagada Kid, Apology to the Body. And it's in 5 sections. I like to kind of explain what a book is like before I read from it. It's informed by losing my father, my mother, and my father-in-law within a 3-year span. It was tough. I also was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1999, and I was told that it's shameful to share this news with anyone. So there's just a lot of stuff, but I'll just read, and I think the poems speak better than I do. I'll begin with Ode to Their Leaving, which is the opening poem of the book. Ode to Their Leaving. As if the sky which darkened on that monumental day, the day Lebanon would be left behind for you both, the day all relations, kin, unshaven onlookers grit their teeth, or the curatses, village women, began the ritual of tears, handkerchiefs tied to the trees, the sheep slaughtered for the last feast. As if the flight above the Atlantic and all the cirrus clouds bowing to the course, the passport the husband opens and closes over and over again, knowing he may lose them all, to another set of civil unrests, another war calculated like the backgammon board, too large and burdensome to bring along. As if the teeth of the East Coast cold, the stifled air of the small apartments, the lies that led to the losing of jobs they said would replenish the spent money. As if all of this was not enough of a cauldron, a wingless griffin. The husband dies first. A year later, the wife dies. And these two called father, mother, in one eeriest and quietest sleep, not birth-like or dream-like, but the time of post-midnight hallucinatory lullabies and afterthoughts. Why do you not say who you are? Say it. Say daughter. Daughter holding genetics of immigrant ink stains, holding the small histories of their breakfast blabbering. And so what did you know of their demise? Father scanned the news of the world, knew the guilt of countries and mustached biographies, while he never spoke of his ills. The spine fractured, the valves roadblocked, the vocal cords bombed. If anger was his food, then food was his poison. The bites didn't matter. The morsels mother fed him mocked even the smallest capillaries. And mother, did you tell him what was coming, or did you decide to follow? Is it a daughter's greatest sin to ask? But look how quiet I am. I watch the world cry itself to sleep. I pinch the spices into their bowls as you did the day you were married, as you did on the unbelievable days you died. So I'll just add this, that my mother died at the beginning of the pandemic. And it was really crazy because all of a sudden everybody was fighting over toilet paper. And my kids suddenly had to go to school, elementary age, had to go to school on a computer. And they're like, Mom, how do you turn it on? Because I believed in go play in the dirt, climb the tree. Yeah, roll the marbles down the driveway, even if dad trips and falls. I mean, like they don't even have technological devices today. So yeah, that's where the poems are informed from. And now I'd like to kind of skip around. I'll just quickly read. I have a poetic sequence at the end of the book called Jagada in Remission. Jagada in Armenian means fate, destiny. So Jagada, fate, destiny. And I'm just going to read the first part of the poetic sequence called History. History. My father said there were no other words like the compound words in the Armenian language. For example, Jagada, which means fate, destiny. If you break the word apart, Jagad means forehead. Kir means letter, letter of the forehead, or the writing on the forehead, meaning fate, destiny, maybe allies. There is something both beautiful and terrifying at the thought of words left there above the brows, below the hairline, untamable, unpredictable. If it appeared to us, would it say divorce, dropout, theft, early death? Or 70 years of the same meaningless work, modern-day hermit, or worse, mother of 5 who dreamed of the ballet every noon, heart attack? Would his have said, minister, misery, could have made it to 90 if things became cobblestone, cash, courage? And so I wanted to say these things in the beginning, but I thought I better be careful with the time. My father was from Lebanon, and my mother was from Syria, and we are of Armenian descent. And there's lots to say. When you're of the world, there's so much we can say, right? So I'll just say this, Ma, I'm really touched that I'm finding so many threads with all of us. I mean, that's about bridges, right? There's so much that I'm just, every time one of you read, I'm like, oh yeah, I have a poem that can respond to that. Oh yeah, I want to say something to that person. And so there's just so many things that connect us. And I think this right here, this is the lesson that we need more bridges and we need more connection. So I'll close with this. And I want to say thank you so much. And if there's anyone that I've forgotten to thank, know that I thank you in my heart. Apology to the body. Sorry for mercury strewn in veins of fish, for traces of carbon monoxide loose in the air, for radiation that circles and enters the aura. Sorry for deliberate puffs and sips late in the night, for an empty stomach burning with coffee grounds, for words of magma, thoughts rough as tufa, scratching the indivisible cells, fragile nerves, divisions of labor and function, for scraping skin until it bled, garnet scars in constellation form, for chemicals bathing in a pool of genetics under viral stars. I'm looking to cleanse regret. I want to give you a balm for lesions, give you evening primrose, milk thistle, turmeric, borage, feet moving toward a language of trees, hands deciphering sediment, steady rhythm back in the pulse, the breathing you knew before you were born. Believe me that we began together, and I will mend each sheath of myelin, reverse the dark that grows behind my eyes. Thank you.
Thank you, Lory. That was an amazing reading. It's great to hear from your new book. Next is Shahé Mankerian, my brother from another mother, I call him sometimes. He's the principal of the St. Gregory Hovsepian School in California. He's on the board of the International Armenian Alliance, also called YALA for short. History of Forgetfulness, his inaugural poetry collection was published by the Fly on the Wall Press in October of 2021. Welcome, Shahé.
Thank you, Lola. Thank you, George. Thank you, everyone who's here. Well, I come today and I'm bringing with me gifts of poetry, and my first gift, I would like to give it to Lory, who read first. This is a poem I think many years ago, Lory wrote about it in some newspaper, and so I would like to gift her this first poem. It's called "We Broke Rulers to Avenge Our Bleeding Knuckles." This is a Beirut poem, and this is around during the Civil War 50 years ago. We broke rulers to avenge our bleeding knuckles. They shove us in line to investigate. My blue uniform feels tight, stiff. It's only Monday morning. I wonder if they'll catch us by Friday afternoon. I can't wiggle my toes in my uncle's hand-me-down shoes. He sells vinyl records near the bridge. I hum Dancing Queen to distract myself from the probing eye of the principal. Mother made me eat 2 boiled eggs this morning. I taste leftovers tucked between the gaps of my teeth. I close my eyes to review the stupid poem I memorized the night before. They could never read my heart. We broke rulers as altar boys when we played hooky from church. We removed the window screen that separated the alley from the classroom. On Sundays, we were kings. But today, we're questioned, threatened. They pull my sideburns, but I don't care. I would die first. They can give me 1,000 poems to memorize, 1 million standards to write over and over. I will not break rulers. I will not break rulers. I will not break rulers. My next set of poems are called New York Stories, and I gift these poems to Lola. Some of them, when I visit her, I spend a lot of alone time, so I go into the city, and New York is a type of a place that forces you to write. So a lot of these pictures are from the city. 1. On my first visit to the city, I rode the bus. At a traffic light, the driver pointed at the Apollo marquee. No one cared to look. A pigeon roosted in the neon of the second O that flickered like a red halo. The bus rolled on, a manhole coughing steam. This is Dante's Inferno, hollered a man missing his soapbox. A chestnut roaster pushed his cart. His portable radio crackled Zydeco. A cocoa streetwalker fixed her nylon stocking and made the driver blush. 2. Mother didn't remember her son's debut at Carnegie Hall. She didn't remember sleeping through the Moonlight Sonata. The snow leopards at the Central Park Zoo didn't interest her. She didn't recall the gargoyles at the St. Patrick's Cathedral. At the Waldorf Astoria, she left the salad untouched. We lost her at the Strand bookstore. We found her drinking Turkish coffee at Washington Square and reading A Blind Man's Fortune in a styrofoam cup. Mother failed to spot the nestled hawks on top-story spikes. She cursed the blurry lenses of the binoculars. But when Brooke Shields stepped out of the checkered cab near Kat's Delicatessen, Mother remembered calling out, Brooke, Baroudjian, Brooke, and followed until finally she made her look. And 3. The aging actor with dementia stands on a bench without shoes and recites a soliloquy to the bronze statue of the fallen soldier. You saw how the poor boy died. The dagger pierced his heart, blood clogged his throat, vomited, choked. The moon forgot to blink temporarily. When we die, we're all dogs without God. We hear howls, then mothers whimper, then silence. We walk back to our cars, crestfallen, hazard lights blinking, leaving tender trails in the snow. Soon, the lover forgets to take the refrigerated daisies to the grave, finds another cadet to replace the bullets, the oxidized trophies, forgotten kisses. And my final gift is to Nora. I don't know Nora. This is my first meeting. And yesterday I was talking to Lola. I said, Lola, tell me about her. And she said, you have a lot in common. You have a lot of similarities. So this poem was from my book. It's the last poem in the book. And it's called A Conversation with Taha Muhammad Ali. And it is about making connections. I tell him, my father is from Haifa. I already know this from your hazel eyes. Your mother must have drank olive oil during pregnancy. He smiles. Who's your father? Nazareth. Like my city, he says, but no coincidence. You and I have the same wild blueberries, pomegranates, and black pitless cherries in our blood. I misunderstand pitiless. I say, father died in 94. I know this, he says, because you never buried him. He still lives on your tongue. When you come to Nazareth, we'll lay him to rest behind the church, deep in the overgrown lilacs. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me here.
Goosebumps, Brother Shahé, goosebumps. Thank you very, very much. Nora is, it's our first meeting as well in person. We've corresponded a great deal, and I'm so happy that she's one of our readers today. Born in Lebanon and a graduate of the Yerevan State University, Nora is a journalist and editorial board member in various diaspora newspapers. She moved to France in 1986, where she teaches Armenian language and history. In 2020, she formed the blog Swallow Zidzelnag for Armenian youth. Her chapbook, Zero, is based on her experiences working at an old age home. She and I will both be reading bilingually. I'm really looking forward to this portion. Nora, go for it.
Hello, everybody. I'm very delighted to be here with you. I don't write in English, I write in Armenian. And I have 2 poems translated into English. And do you want me, Lola, to read in Armenian, also in Armenian, or so you will have the chance to listen the Armenian
Yes,
pronunciation. Yes. The first one is called On Stage, and it's translated from Armenian by Lola Koundakjian and Artur Kaizakian. Who invented the tale of our kindness, of stage, who gave the hues above the skies of nations? Who drew the diverged paths? Where we walk, a moment where we marvel at the magnificence of a meeting, satisfied with consenting, with kissing, forgiving, sinful and humbled fingers satiated. Words, solemn enemies. On stage, a creature sanctified every second. Do you know that beyond your drooling river lies a genuine happiness equal to reality, where sequences of chains sink before reaching you, whirlpooling in your resentment's mouth, where they rot to keep the light sheltered? Who has the courage to surpass your theatrical borders, down then upstairs, to leave your melodramatic spirit with enthusiasm, and to realize that she was not guilty, that she was never guilty? And in Armenian, Temin Vera, for my Armenian friends, Shahé, thank you very much. Temin Vera, I dedicate it to you. Ով հնարեց մեր փարության հեքիաթը, թատրոնեն դուրս երգիրներու երգինքներու երանքները ով դվավ, ով կձեց բազմընտրելի ջամփաներ, ուր գկալենք, բահիկ մլոք զարմանալու հանդիպումի բերջանքեն, բավարարված խոնարհելու, համբուրելու, ներողամիտ մեղքի սմքած մատները գուշտուգուր, բարեր, համտիսավոր թշնամի, փեմի վրա ամեն վարգյան սրբակորձվող արարած, գիտես արդյոք, որ լորձնաշուրտն կեդեդանտին գա աներազ գյանքի մչապ հնագան երջանկություն, ուր դեղադարապ շղթաներդ հասնել է առաջ գնգղմին, հորցանուտ ոխից երախին մեջ, հոնգը պդին, լույսին դեղը հագանեխված բահելու. Ով կաչություն գունենա թադրոն իշխան սահմանները ձանցելու, սանթուխեն վար, սանթուխեն վեր, թադրոնաստեղծ ոգիտ լքել, ավյունով և հասկնալ, որ հանցավոր չէ եղած, որ հանցավոր չէր երբեք. This is the first one. Thank you. And the second is called Through Forever, and it's translated by Tatul Sonets. Neither cleanse me, nor try to convince me that I need cleansing. Keep your squeaking cart away, on which, sitting like a pasha, safe in your armor, a sword in one hand and in the other, you encircle the world. Do not dare pass through our turf. Never darken my garden's gate. Don't make my hut's bell pulse at your stride. Believe me, I shall come out, and you will be through forever. Beneath your nose, there is a sneer at my barking lines. Melik did the same facing Metcalf. But Metcalf scaled the mountain and alerted the napping fearless who had to wake up. Do not disturb Daredevil's recollection in the days of angels, when the scrambled stairs writing to heaven can crumble forever to dust. Aroused, his angered soul needs no cleansing. Your mewing are powerless there. If he only took one step backwards, it is over. You will be through forever. Go to that rebel that lines your road, waiting for your parade. Maybe this time the voice may crack with a roar, the breast of the rebel, once and for all, may thrust in the pin of decoration. From some time now, I've been home from the street. For me, it's over. You are forever through. And if you allow me now in Armenian, the same poem, Uverch. Ոչ զիս մակրե, ոչ ալ փորձե համոզել, թե մակրվել ինձի պետք է։ Հերու ինձ մե գրգրացող սայլագտ, որուն վրա փաշայիմը բեսփազմած զրահիտ մեջ աբահով մեկ ցերքից սուր, մյուս ցերքիդ աշխարհի շուրջ կդառնաս։ Չլանցնիս մեր թաղեն, բարդեզիս թուրը ապչարնես։ Հյուղագիս տրան զանկագը չթրթրա անցկովդ, թուս կուքամ ես հավադա, ու վերջը գպերեմ։ Քիթիտ տագեն գխնտաս հաչոցին դեմ դողերուս, մելիքնալ ձուրին թիմացնույն նրավ, բայց ձուրը լեր բարձրացավ, ըսկուշացուց ինքզինքեն անվախները կուն մդած, որ ստիպված արթնցան։ Չկրկրես սադանային հիշադագը հրեշտակյան օրերուն, երբ կարող էր թեպի երկինք սխալ շարված սամտուխները հիմնահադակ խորդագել, անուններ ու գարձրությունը պուջ ընգույզի գեղևի բես կոդրդել, անոր հոգին չարացած մակրվելու բետ չունի, մլավինըտ այնտեղ ուժ չունի, եթե միայն մեկ քայլ առնի թեպի ետ, ալ վերջը գպերը։ Թունքնային ամփոխին, որ ջամփուց զույգ եզերքին համբերությամբ կամ անհամբեր սայլիտ անցքին գսպասե։ Տերևս այս անգամ ցայն ավելի բարձրացայն խեղդե, ըմպոստին գուրցկը վերջաբես շքանշանի ասեղը խոթե։ Ես շադոնցե փողոցեն դուն դարձած եմ։ Ինձի համար ալ վերջը եկած է։ Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. I'm going to close with two short poems. I will start with the Armenian ones first. Thank you very much for the invitation. Աղավնիները Թրացիներս փոխադրվեցան, մեկը ապա երկրորդը կամաց հավաքեց ապրանքները, մեկ առ մեկ լեցվեցան դուպերը ու քաշվեցավ թուրը։ Հիմա հարկապաժինը բարավ է ու կամաց աղավնիները կուքան, ուր որ երաժիշտները գաբրեին։ Իրիկվա թեմ կովի նստած ամեն բադուհաներուն սեմին, աղավնիները կարծես մտիկ կնեն ներսի ստվերները, ինչպես ես մեղետիներուն հիշադակը, the pigeons. My neighbors moved, one then the other, slowly collected their things, one after another. The boxes were packed and the door was pulled shut. Now the apartment sits empty, and one by one the pigeons visit the musician's dwelling. In the evenings, sitting next to one another along the windowsills, the pigeons seem to search for the ghosts inside the apartment, just as I long to hear their melodies. Whiskey Bar. This is a poem dedicated to my dad, who was an appreciator of strong drinks. Կարասնութերոտ փողոցի վրա տապարական, ծմրան առաջին քիշերները, մութ է փողոցը ու մութ են շարքմը քինեդուները։ Երբ թուրմը բացվի, մեղետիները կփախին գարձես խծահանե մարձակված։ Ներսը մարդիկ նստած փոքր ու հերու գերևին քինեդան գարմիր լույսին դակ։ Ուր խավար է, բարերը կջջան գարձես տիրելու անհրաժեշտությամբ։ Ինչու կփնտրեմ այս մութ ու ամայի վայրերը, գուցե հուշերը այդ գիշերներուն եւ փոքր տարիքիս հորս հետ հոն աբահով գսկայի, շիշմո կոկա-կոլա, քիմ կսկախարտող, ու ագանչներս մինչև ուշ ֆլիպերի ցայներով թույթված, հոն ուր քնչումը ժուբիդով մը վարտեր կհրանցներ սիրահարներուն, իսկ ուրիշմը նկարահան Poetrybay պատկերմը կփորձեր ծախել։ 48-րդ փողոցի վրա տապարական, ծմրան առաջին գիշերները, մութ է փողոցը ու մութ են գարկմի հիշադակները։ Whiskey Bar. Roaming on 48th Street, winter's first cool nights. Dark are the streets and hazy are the wine bars. A door opens and music escapes as if catapulted by a corkscrew. The people sitting inside seem further and smaller under the red light of the wine bar. Where it is dusky, the conversations scream as if counterpoised. Why do I seek these dark and desolate places, perhaps memories of childhood, evenings out with Dad when I felt safe, a bottle of Coca-Cola bewitching my taste buds, my ears filled all night by the ding-ding of the pinball machine, witnessing a gypsy's offer of a smile and a rose to young lovers, followed by a photographer's sale of Polaroid portraits. Roaming on 48th Street, winter's first cool nights. Dark are the streets, and hazy are my memories. Thank you very much for the invitation. Back to you, George. See you soon.
All right, great. I mean, totally wonderful. And look at that, 1:30. Could you all have been more helpful in bringing this in at an efficient time? I tell you, it's very valuable because when we post this, on YouTube next week, a show that's an hour and a half long, people are much more likely to get on and stay on it, even though we'll put each person's time in the segment. And a 2 hour show, 2.5 hour show could be something else, but an hour and a half goes like, especially today's show with such wonderful readers. So I want to thank everybody who participated today. I'd like to thank our audience for coming. I see Bruce Johnson in the audience. He's going to be one of 3 compares next month. There's Bruce with a hat. He's going to be bringing people from Northport, Long Island, one of the homes of Jack Kerouac, to Poets Building Bridges. We'll additionally have Francine Witt. She's going to be bringing prose poets, flash prose poets, flash prose writers to this, and Pramila Venkataswaran, who is distinguished in the world of South Asian Indian poetry, and does a lot of programming in that area. So next month's show, November 9th, should be good. This show, as I say, will be posted on the playlist for Poets Building Bridges, which is now nearly 3 years young. And I invite you when that comes out. I'll send the link to that around so that everybody can be part of that and hear it. Once again, I want to thank Robert Savino from the Walt Whitman Birthplace, and Caitlyn Shea, who's back up there in Schenectady or someplace with an S, Saratoga Springs, upstate New York, and our engineer, Walt Whitman Birthplace engineer, Jennifer, for the work you've done today. Every one of you did a super job, and really hope that you enjoyed yourself as much as I know the rest of us have. And we'll be looking forward to hearing much more of you together and separately in the future. So on behalf of the Walt Whitman Birthplace and Poets Building Bridges, I'll sign off now and say sayonara until next time.